There comes a season in many lives when the past no longer remains behind us. The choices of youth, the words spoken in haste, the wounds left in the hearts of others, and the roads taken for selfish reasons have a way of returning when the years have grown long and the hair has turned gray. Many people spend their days trying to outrun regret, believing that distance and time can bury what once happened. But there are nights when silence becomes louder than the world itself, and a man finds that the greatest battle is not with his enemies, but with his own soul. The ancient story of Jacob is one of those stories that has echoed through generations, for it tells of a wanderer who carried guilt across deserts, wealth across kingdoms, and fear across decades until, beside a lonely river, he met a mysterious stranger and discovered that God can change a life forever. Jacob was born into the household of Isaac and Rebekah, descendants of the promise that God had given to Abraham. Even before the two sons were born, there was conflict, and it was said that two nations struggled within their mother's womb. Esau entered the world first, strong and rugged, a child who would grow to love the open fields and the hunt, while Jacob followed, his hand grasping his brother's heel, as though unwilling to let him go. From the beginning, their lives seemed connected by rivalry and destiny. Isaac favored Esau because he delighted in the game his son brought from the wilderness, but Rebekah watched over Jacob with special affection. In that divided household, the seeds of future sorrow quietly began to grow. As the years passed, Esau became a skilled hunter, while Jacob remained closer to the tents and the family. One day, when Esau returned from the fields weary and hungry, he found Jacob preparing a simple meal. In a moment of weakness, the older brother asked for food, and Jacob saw an opportunity that would shape both of their lives. He offered bread and stew in exchange for Esau's birthright, the inheritance that belonged to the firstborn son. Hungry and careless, Esau accepted the bargain, valuing a temporary comfort above a lasting blessing. The decision was made in only a few moments, yet its consequences would echo for generations. Time moved forward and Isaac grew old. His eyes became dim, and he desired to bestow his blessing upon Esau before his final days arrived. Rebekah learned of Isaac's intention and urged Jacob to disguise himself so that he might receive the blessing instead. Dressed in his brother's garments and covered with the skins of young goats to imitate Esau's rough hands, Jacob entered his father's tent. The old man hesitated, for the voice sounded different, but his touch persuaded him. Isaac spoke words of blessing over Jacob, asking that nations would serve him and that his brothers would bow before him. When Esau returned and the truth became known, grief filled the house. The older brother wept bitterly and promised that one day he would take revenge. Fear entered Jacob's heart, and he fled from his home. The hills of Canaan disappeared behind him as he traveled toward a distant land, uncertain of what awaited him. Alone beneath the night sky, with only stones for a pillow, he rested in a lonely place. There, while the stars shone above the silent earth, he experienced a remarkable dream. He saw a stairway stretching from the ground toward heaven, and messengers of God moved upon it. Above all stood the Lord, repeating the ancient promise made to Abraham and Isaac, declaring that Jacob's descendants would become numerous and that through them blessing would come to many. When he awoke, he realized that even in exile he had not been abandoned. He called that place Bethel, the house of God, and continued his journey with new hope. Jacob arrived in the land of his relatives and met Rachel, the daughter of Laban. By a well surrounded by flocks, he first saw the woman who would capture his heart. He agreed to work 7 years to earn her hand in marriage, and those years seemed short because of his love for her. Yet on the wedding night, Laban deceived him, giving him Leah instead. The man who had once gained a blessing through deception now experienced deception himself. He agreed to serve another 7 years for Rachel, and so his household grew, not through ease, but through patience, labor, and disappointment. Many years passed beneath the wide skies of that distant country. Jacob's family increased, his flocks multiplied, and prosperity followed his work. Yet wealth could not silence the longing for home. Tension grew between Jacob and Laban, and at last God called him to return to the land of his fathers. The journey back was not simply a return to familiar hills. It was a return to unfinished business. Somewhere ahead was Esau, the brother he had wronged, the man who years before had sworn revenge. As Jacob traveled, messengers brought troubling news. Esau was approaching, and 400 men were with him. The old fear returned at once. Jacob divided his servants, his animals, and his family into separate groups, hoping that if one was attacked, another might survive. He prepared generous gifts of livestock and sent them ahead, seeking to soften his brother's heart. Then he prayed, not with pride, but with humility. He confessed that he was unworthy of the kindness God had shown him and asked for mercy. The confident young man who had once relied upon his own cleverness had become an older man who knew his own weakness. When evening came, Jacob helped his wives, his children, and all that belonged to him cross the Jabbok River. One by one, they disappeared into the darkness until he remained completely alone. The silence of that night was unlike any other. Behind him lay a lifetime of memories. Ahead of him waited a meeting he could neither escape nor control. It was there, beside the river, beneath the stars, that a mysterious figure came to him. The scriptures tell that a man wrestled with Jacob until the breaking of day. The struggle was long, and neither gave way. Dust rose from the earth, and the hours passed in darkness. It was more than a contest of strength. It was as though Jacob was wrestling with fear, with regret, with the consequences of every choice he had ever made. He who had struggled since birth, struggled once more. As dawn approached, the stranger touched Jacob's hip, and immediately his strength failed. The wound would remain with him for the rest of his life, a permanent reminder of that sacred encounter. Yet even in pain, Jacob refused to let go. He clung to the mysterious visitor with determination and declared that he would not release him without receiving a blessing. The question came gently through the darkness. "What is your name?" The answer was simple: Jacob. It was more than a name. It was an acknowledgement of the life he had lived, the mistakes he had made, and the burdens he carried. Then the stranger spoke words that changed everything. "Your name shall no longer be Jacob, but Israel, because you have struggled with God and with men and have endured." In that moment, Jacob received not only a blessing, but a new identity. The old life marked by fear and striving was giving way to something greater. He called the place Peniel, saying that he had seen God and yet his life had been spared. As the first light of morning touched the earth, Jacob crossed the river, walking with a limp. His body had been wounded, but his spirit had been renewed. Soon afterward, he lifted his eyes and saw Esau approaching. The moment he had dreaded for so many years had finally arrived. Jacob bowed himself to the ground again and again as he came near his brother. But what happened next was beyond anything he expected. Esau ran toward him, embraced him, and wept. The years of anger melted away in a single moment of mercy. The brothers who had been divided by jealousy and deception stood together once more, and the bitterness of the past gave way to reconciliation. Jacob urged Esau to accept the gifts he had brought, saying that seeing his brother's face was like seeing the favor of God. It was a remarkable confession from a man who had spent much of his life trying to secure blessings through his own efforts. Now he understood that some gifts cannot be taken by force or earned through cleverness. They are received through grace. The story of Jacob and the angel is remembered because it speaks to every generation. Many carry hidden regrets. Many fear the consequences of old mistakes. Many wrestle through long nights, wondering whether forgiveness and renewal are still possible. Jacob discovered that God does not abandon imperfect people. Instead, he shapes them, corrects them, and leads them through struggles that reveal a greater purpose. Jacob walked away from the river with a wound that never completely healed, yet that very weakness became a testimony. Every step reminded him that strength is not always found in power. Sometimes true strength is found in humility, perseverance, and the courage to hold on to God when everything else seems uncertain. Even the darkest night can become the beginning of a new life. A fearful man can become a faithful one. A divided family can find peace. A burdened heart can receive mercy. And the God who met Jacob beside the lonely river still reminds every searching soul that the struggle is not the end of the story. Beyond the darkness, there is dawn. Beyond regret, there is forgiveness. Beyond the old name, there is the promise of a new beginning.